Welcome to the overview for the intuition and spiritual growth development with oracles. Hi, I'm Phillip Mountrose with my wonderful wife and partner, Jane Mountrose. And we're really happy and excited to be here with you. We've been looking forward to starting this course because we've been using oracles so regularly for months now, daily, and we'll share some of the discoveries. And actually, the more that I use oracles, in a way, the more extraordinary they become, just the connections that are made daily, the guidance, the value of them. And so why this course? Why training about developing intuition, which people probably get that, and with oracles? Well, you're a spiritual being, right? Having a human experience. So what's one of your core jobs here? Well, developing your intuition. Why is that? Well, you want to grow, learn, heal, and create. Now, just briefly, a little bit about our story, Jane and mine. We met in our 20s, which was a while ago.
Quite a while.
And we joined a Gurdjieff Ouspensky spiritual esoteric group for awakening. And there was a leader guru model, still very common today. Follow the leader, follow the guru. And the leader was so intuitive, so inspired. And we would wonder, why not us? Do you have to go through him sort of as a surrogate, or why can't you directly do it? Which, of course, you can, as we'll be sharing today. And we left that Gurdjieff Ouspensky group years ago, and we actually became married in there in partnership ever since. And we realized you need healing in order to awaken. That's a key part of it too. And we did a lot of activating, a lot of searching, meditating, inner awareness and healing modalities, hypnotherapy, NLP, holistic EFT, a system of spiritual healing we call spiritual kinesiology, healing from the soul. And I'll go a little bit into that as well today. Too, we may need a little bit of muting going on here. And that brings us to why now? Why learn this now? As you know, we're in a time of multi-crises. Many crises are going on at the same time. And that could be environmental, we're talking about. It could be a climate crisis. It could be racial crises, geography crises, and the list goes on. So there's a lot happening around us, and we need the best tools we can to improve ourselves and shift ourselves first, and then one person at a time we shift. And that's how you do it. And you get the right tools to do that. So you can bring these higher realms into your daily life down to earth on a regular basis. Now, what we've discovered new over the months, over the years, is different ways to use oracles, which we've returned to through the many years of studying modalities, healing, spiritual modalities. And we've made a lot of new connections, a lot of eureka moments. And we want to share that with you because they really have astonishing, profound results for us, really on a daily basis for developing our intuition, kind of a synergy with the intuition and oracles going on. Today in the overview class, you're going to learn about this overview of our upcoming course of developing your intuition with oracles and your spiritual growth, and how to use oracles in the right way, because there's sort of right and not so effective, I should say, ways to use it. And we want to share how you can be on track to get the best results, and also how it can help you connect deeper with nature and the elementals, and how you can connect clearing and healing. We'll use angelic EFT tapping and violet flame healing with oracles, and how to go even further into this training to go deeper into it. And first, I want to just take a 30-second, what is an oracle, just in case that is a little unclear for some people. An oracle could be a person or thing. Of course, we're going to be talking about oracle card decks. It could be the person, the prophet, like the Dalai Lama uses, or back in the Greek ancient times, the Oracle of Delphi. And it's been throughout cultures using oracles for often sort of prediction and foretelling things. That's not how we're really going to use it in our training. But the decks are using images, symbols, pictures, and words and interpretations in order to get information, often hidden, profound connections done in the right way, as I said. So we want to share a little bit more how oracles has made a huge difference in our life. Jane?
Yeah, it well, there's so much, I think. We were talking about this the other day. I think there was a time a few years ago
Oh, thank you. Beautiful.
when
Awesome.
Go ahead. There was someone that's needed muted. Go ahead.
There was a time a few years ago when, as Philip mentioned, we've been around for many, many years and done a lot, and we've experienced a lot of growth. And I felt at a certain point that I was in kind of a holding pattern. I wasn't sure exactly what my next step was, and things were fine.
Jane, you may have to unmute yourself. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was talking and it's all of a sudden it said the host muted you. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm not sure exactly where I got muted, but I was talking about how a few years ago I was in kind of a holding. I felt like I was in a holding pattern. I didn't know exactly what the next step was, and then as it happened, I guess you know how life is. As it happened, Archangel Metatron contacted me, and he just had one sentence, and it was that you need to connect with your full range of resources, and that he wanted to talk to me. So it was that happened in a situation where I couldn't connect with him right away, but I went into a meditation probably the next day and connected with Archangel Metatron, who is, if you're not familiar with him, one of the most amazing angels. He's has a lot of light and very much a part of the Great Awakening, we call it, being with Awakenings Institute. And so I when I contacted him, I got the sense that meant a broader view of reality. In other words, a reality that includes more than just what we perceive here. And we have obviously had some contact with archangels and ascended masters and nature spirits over the years, but it was the beginning for me of a whole new, deeper journey into all of that. And thinking about it, I was trying to figure out, well, if I want to develop relationships with archangels, I know kind of who some of them are, and I'm not sure exactly what to do. Then I realized, well, if I got an oracle deck that has the major archangels in it, then I could select a card every day and I would get a message, and I also could connect with an archangel. And I thought, wow, that sounds like it makes a lot of sense.
2 for 1.
Right. And actually doing it, it became much more than I thought it would. We started using a deck of cards, of oracle cards. It was a tarot deck that also is an archangel tarot deck. And the results were so amazing. And connecting with the archangels is such a profound experience. I think it also changes your vibration. We'll be talking a lot about vibration too. But I did that for a while, and there were 15 major archangels and then some more who appeared here and there as I was exploring it. So then we moved on to the Ascended Masters, which was also just the most amazing experience. If you're not familiar with them too much, the archangels are here to support us with our growth. They're beings who haven't, in general, experienced life on Earth. So they don't have that kind of um, direct experience of what we're going through. But when you go to the Ascended Masters, they do. And they are here as our teachers. So we started connecting with the masters, and that was just the most amazing thing. And doing it in a similar way with another deck of oracle cards. And in the process, starting to use other decks of oracle cards for for related information, and then that led us really starting to understand more about the big picture of what is actually creating our cosmos. and it's moved on for me. Now I'm exploring the Elohim, who are the beings of light that directly surround the creator. We're not going to be actually going into that. I might mention it here and there, but they are part of the elementals, the elemental kingdoms. And Philip is going to be talking a little bit about the different kingdoms later too, for clarification. But we start getting this broader view of reality, realizing that part of our goal in awakening is transitioning into a perspective where we experience these beings as part of our everyday reality. And we, as Philip suggested, now we're in the place where we do processes with the angels and the masters and the nature spirits pretty much every day. And it has been just an incredible journey that continues. Part of the amazement is there's always more. And so I know that Philip and Gretchen is here too with us. And I think it would be wonderful if both of you have an opportunity
Right.
to share a little bit about your experience with
Yeah, and before I want to introduce Gretchen too, I just wanted to say Jane and I have been doing this daily, returning to oracles the last year intensively to study them and get these astonishing results. And we've also shared them with our students and clients too, who've had astonishing and profound results too.
Right.
And actually, that brings in Gretchen Comer, our colleague and holistic spiritual coach and healer. Gretchen, you want to share a little bit about oracles and your journey?
Sure. Thank you so much, Philip and Jane. It's lovely to be here, and it's lovely to see so many people here. Yeah, as I was thinking about the webinar today, I was counting back, trying to figure out when did I start actually using oracle cards, and I think it was around 1991 was when I was introduced to them by a friend, and that was a tarot deck. And I remember it was a specific deck, one of the oldest decks I think pretty much known in America, and that's the Rider-Waite deck. And we noticed that there were a lot of imagery on there that were very masculine. There wasn't a lot supporting the feminine in that deck. And so I didn't really use it at first. I think it was about another year until I started really using oracles on a regular basis. But even now, the depth of what I'm doing now and what you're presenting in this course is a lot different as to how I was using it years ago. And for me, though, that they've always been so beneficial. There's a lot of different ways that you can read an oracle. And the things that I generally get out of it is, a reading can help me put things in a different perspective. They can point to energies that I need to cultivate in my life right now. They can guide me to kind of understand the whole picture instead of just my current narrow scope of it. And it invites me to consider something I haven't previously considered. And really it inspires me to be creator of my life, because that's essentially what we're all trying to accomplish, is be creators of our lives. And I've also changed my approach over the years in how I read the cards. I used to be very ceremonial about it and set, an hour and a half to 2 hours aside, and it had to be a specific place, and it was very formal and very rigid. And I think after a while, I just didn't enjoy it anymore. And the way that Philip and Jane convey this information is so much easier. It's so much more accessible. Who has time to set 2 hours aside to do a reading? It just seems so silly. So I have loosened up quite a bit. And really what I've found is those moments where I'm really grounded and I'm actually tuning in and being in the present moment is when I have the clearest readings. You know, if I'm preoccupied or not grounded, those are the times when I'm not going to get a lot of clarity. And you wouldn't, whether you used an oracle generally or not, you know, you want to be in that more heart-centered space. So for me, it's really beneficial. I use them just about daily. I would say at least 3-4 times a week, if not daily. And if I use them more than that, I find that the cards often repeat themselves for me. So I just need to be able to integrate that information throughout the week. So yeah, they're really beneficial, and I thoroughly enjoy using them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great resource.
Yeah, for sure. And I what I've found myself is I usually review my readings the next day. And sometimes I'll stay with one for 3 or 4 days. So I may be actually doing a daily kind of spiritual practice, but I may not move on right away until I feel like I've completely absorbed what I've received from them.
Right. For myself, I consider equivalent to a meditation, and I do it almost every day, about 5 minutes, maybe to 20 minutes, depending on what's going on. And it's great if I'm a little lost or confused or down. It brings me up. It gives me hidden meaning and inspiration. If I'm up, it grounds me. It gives me direction and clarity. And to show you an example today, for this class, I asked how can I best share or explain oracles. So I drew a card, the card that says security. I'd never gotten this card before, fire in a cave.
Interesting.
And so here, and I have it written on the screen here, just I'm going to read what I wrote today to give you a sense of what the value of this for me and for you, hopefully. It's understandable that people might think that using oracles are somehow irrational and unreliable, but in truth, it can be quite the opposite. Oracles used with a clear, grounded intent provide clarity, direction, and intuitive accuracy. Oracle readings can be both dynamic and flexible and precise as well. We have a method, a systematic approach to oracles. It's not hit or miss, pie in the sky, or wishful thinking. Oracles give you a pathway into deeper knowing and powerful connections. It's a wonderful, sacred tool that looks clear-eyed into helping you elevate your reality into a more mystical, meaningful journey.
Wow, yeah.
So that's one day of just the oracle. I mean, without the oracle, I'm sure I wouldn't have had that download and inspiration, at least that directly and powerfully. And that's the kind of thing that happens to Jane and me and people we share this with, like our clients and students, regularly.
Yeah. And when you look at it in relation to developing your intuition, I've been trying to think of how to summarize that. I think that it really is, in the end, about clearing the sludge that's in your energy system that we all have. It's like we're part of this mass consciousness thought form reality, and it is sludge. It's sludge that's in the spaces that can be filled with light and love in our energy system. And the more we do things like Philip was saying, reading oracles, connecting with angels, connecting with nature spirits, all of these different things that are possible, it raises our vibration. And then we naturally are able to open to our intuition, which is always there. It's not that it's not there, it's that we're not, we're so bogged down by all the sludge
We're not there
in our system. We're not there.
Lights on, no one's home.
Right. So that's really our approach, and it is magical and mystical. And as Gretchen suggested, we have different ways of using oracles. We do what feels most beneficial. Like sometimes we'll take out part of an oracle and use part of a deck because the rest of it is not relevant. Or with tarot, we often separate out the major arcana and the minor arcana, the big mysteries and the small mysteries, so that we can get the big picture from the big mysteries as part of the reading. And that's one of the things we'll be doing actually in the course coming up with a deck that we haven't used before, that's very magical in itself. And I think for those of us who are healers and light workers and way showers, people who want to make a difference and want to be part of elevating the amount of light in the world. It just is a natural thing to add. One of the things that I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be doing, Philip mentioned the angelic EFT. I'm going to be doing that part and sharing a something that I read about doing. It was some months ago, which is doing a spiritual process based on, it has to be based on having an intention. Like, I want to know more about this, or I want to get rid of that, or something. And just noticing what happens first. The first part is the foundation, which is getting to that place spiritually where you want to be. Gretchen, I think, and Philip both mentioned being more in connected with your heart. And then just notice how that changes it. Then the second change is we're going to be doing the violet flame clearing. And after that, with an angel, we'll notice how that changes, how that changes it. And then we're going to do another one. I've actually drawn an oracle card. I asked for what would be right for the group for this today also. And we'll integrate that message and see how that changes things. And my experience is each one steps up the amount of light and love and excitement and mystery and magic and all of that incrementally as you add to it. And of course, you can only go so far, but those are actually 3 simple things that you can do, or 3 or 4 that can change your day dramatically. So we're going to have fun, I think, with it. We also are taking a mystery school approach. Philip mentioned where we came from, a place where we were part of an organization where the leader was the sole source of wisdom for everybody. The mystery schools that have come down through the ages have all been about teaching people to connect with their own wisdom. And of course, the oracle readings and opening to your intuition is an integral part of that. And it's very much also the heart of our approach to everything with people, not wanting to be on a pedestal above anyone, wanting everyone to recognize the magnificence that we are. So I think we're going to have fun today and in the course. And I think you'll gain some things today that you can start using right away.
So we're going to talk now about developing your relationship with nature and the elemental realms. And what exactly is that, you may be wondering. The elements, we're talking about fire, air, water, earth, and in oracle decks are often portrayed at different symbols. They can be hearts and wands and clubs and swords, and there's different symbols for different decks. But oracles often connect quite a bit from elements. And if you think we are elements, we are made from the stars, the dust, the elements is part of our physical and even metaphysical origins. And the oracle addresses that. And one of the ways it approaches that is through what are called the 3 kingdoms. And Jane mentioned that. So the way we understand it is, as we start off here as the origin of sentient being, the origins of life starts off. We're going really basic, really down to the essence of levels of creation for this reality.
Up to the highest level.
We're going up to the highest and then
levels.
down to where we are now. If you want just to use directions, use language to describe this. So it goes into 3 branches or 3 perspectives: the angelic kingdom, the ensouled species, that's us, humans. And of course, that could be a wide variety of other sort of humanoid systems if you go to other planets and so forth.
Okay.
And we'll need to do a little mute there. I think someone just came in.
What?
And so there's the angelic kingdom, the elemental kingdom, that's us. And then the elemental kingdom. There's the ensouled species, I meant, and the elemental kingdom. So the ensouled is us, and the elements are the origins or the higher beings who govern the elements, the fire, air, earth, water elements. So starting just that angelic element, which we'll connect with through this course too, and oracles help you connect, are these higher beings of pure love, and they, with our initiation, with our request, can connect with us. And oracles is a wonderful avenue to do that in an easy way. And we'll explore different angels and so forth, and their wonderful generosity and love that we can connect with. Yeah. And then there's the ensouled kingdom, that's namely humans in this case, and there are ascended or enlightened masters that we can connect with, higher beings. People know Jesus and Buddha, but there's Dwal Kul and Saint Germain and many of them, and we'll draw on their incredible wisdom. And then the elements themselves, which you might know things like fairies and gnomes and plant spirits and different beings that are all around us, interestingly enough, invisibly. And once you attune to that, you get a sense of that. Interesting. I was just hearing that in the country Iceland, about 50% of people believe or connect with nature spirits regularly. It's very common there. Obviously, in the U.S. and a lot of the Western world, it's not. But once you start to open your mind to it and make sense of it, your life will be incredibly enriched, because we're around trees and plants and water and air and earth. We're around that all the time, and we tend to take it for granted and ignore the vitality that we can participate in, that's actually keeping us alive too. So those different elements, and those three different kingdoms, and it's really quite educational to connect with those different kingdoms and elements. Jane, did you want to add to anything on that? That's just an intro there.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty profound connecting with the elementals. I think something I actually didn't understand myself is that we are co-creating with the beings in the elemental realms. And the beings in the elemental realms are also influenced by our mass consciousness thought forms. So the beings, of the four elements, there's the air element, which is the mental element. The beings in the air element are actually influenced by our limited thinking. So we're kind of all dragging ourselves down together. And at the same time, the higher beings in the elemental kingdom understand that the goal is to rise up, not to get ourselves bogged down. And so the elementals are trying to support us in evolving so that the whole planet can evolve.
Yeah.
And did you want to just add a little more before we go further?
Yeah, and just as we've forgotten nature and crushed nature to our own difficulties, we've forgotten the elementals. We take it for granted. We don't appreciate. We don't have the honor and the sacredness and the aliveness and the co-creativeness. And that's really, I think, going to follow more and more as we're becoming more aware of nature and more aware of the planet, just to survive. Really, part of that is the elementals. That's what we're talking about, aren't we? Fire, earth, air,
and water.
Water, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we are going to directly be working with nature in this course more than we have in any of the others, which I'm really excited about it, because that's something I know it's dear to Gretchen's heart and both of ours too, and becoming more so with greater understanding. If you want to look into the elementals, even as a human being, we have a body, what you could call a body elemental. So there is an elemental that is supporting the well-being of the body even. And we can enlist these different elemental beings to help us. So we actually can co-create. And I think we were going to take a couple of minutes just to share our own experiences. For me, recently, I've been connecting more with the elementals and reading about them. And when I first did it, I wasn't sure exactly what to do or what to expect, but I just approached it, which I think is the way I would recommend too, without expectation, like connecting with a tree or connecting with nature in a park or wherever you go. I keep coming back to trees because I'm really into trees right now. We have a tree in our yard here. It's a birch tree, and it's so magnificent. Trees, they're so grounded and so connected with everything. I sit in within the perimeter of the tree. Now I go out there. I take a little chair, a little lawn chair, one of those ones that's close to the ground, so I'm connecting with the ground and the tree, and I just sit there. I read one of the things I read actually while I was there is Buddha became an ascended master sitting under a Bodhi tree. And I think we underestimate also, it's not like you have to go way out in the woods or something. It's all around us. And I also just starting to connect with them then in doing it without expectation. A gnome showed up. A gnome, those are the earth elementals. The gnomes are the little, often they're shown as little kind of people type characters, and they come in different sizes. But there's one now it's like now he's my invisible friend. And I wonder about the children if that's how they have that experience. And so when I go out in the yard, he's there and I say, "Hi, George." It's kind of like, how's everything going? And I asked him to create a sacred space for us in our yard to have our whole perimeter of the land that we're living in, to create it as a sacred space. And I really feel like it's different. Very, very different. I just love sitting in the yard. And like I said, right under the tree, especially. But I think it's just a wonderful thing in whatever way you feel guided to connect with the birds, connect with flowers. There's so many different possibilities. So that's kind of my experience with nature for now.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I second that too. And just going outside and sensing the auras and the energy of the plants and trees, flowers and shrubs, and just the variety, the incredible variety. Just like
Right.
an incredible artist of the beings who made all the plants and the flowers that come out, and incredibly creative. And it's very energizing, and it also quiets the mind. Just taking a walk and being with nature, and it creates a stillness and a harmony and a sacredness in a
Right.
fun, spontaneous, not a wholly ritualized way where you have to feel, like everything is sort of very delicate, and it's very flexible and vibrant, and a lot of humor too. I read a book years ago called Communing with Trees, and that was sort of far out, but I tried it and it made total sense to me. I mean, I did get communication, which now I'm doing again. One of the trees is sort of like, I don't know if he's a gnome or whatever. He's sort of a butler type. When I hang on him, I ask if it's okay to hang on the branches and stretch my body out. And he says, "You're welcome, sir." "Yes, most definitely."
Sounds
"Yes,
like a no.
good to see you again, sir." Gretchen, you want to share any of your nature oracle experiences?
Absolutely. Yeah, nature for me is kind of my go-to. It's really the only place where I can feel completely at ease and relaxed and feel really creative and inspired. And I'm fortunate enough to live somewhere where I live in the country in Central Virginia. So we live on a large piece of land, and I have it all around me. I'm surrounded by forest and fields, and every day it's a new adventure. For me, it enables me to be more in the present moment, because when you're walking around the woods, you're walking around a field in nature, you need to be aware of your surroundings. I also live on a cattle farm, so there's lots of cow pies. You have to be really aware stepping. But it helps me stay in the present moment. I'm somebody that's very in my head a lot, so it really helps kind of put me back in my body, being physical in nature, and really being present. just listening to the birds. This is what's happening right now. This is what's happening in the present moment. And so that gives me a very relaxed perspective. It's very calming to me. It's very soothing. And I have to admit, I'm a tree hugger from way back. I have been a tree hugging child. My inner child is still a tree hugger. And I have particular trees that I also attune with and sit under and touch and talk to all around my yard. And so it's very magical. It's a very loving connection. It's so much loving energy, and they want nothing from us. I mean, nature, if we left it completely alone and didn't mow our lawns, Mother Nature would just continue. You know, she doesn't need to have her trees pruned. She doesn't need to have the vines pulled and the poisonous plants removed. We do that for our own safety, but that raw primal energy is always there and it's always accessible. And I draw a lot of life force energy from that. You know, I draw a lot of joy and a lot of happiness and just strong feelings of connection. So yeah, it's one of my favorite places to be.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was great.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
So we're going to do a little bit of clearing, Jane. That's another important part of connecting that with the oracles.
Right. And mentioning, going back to the sludge, part of, I think, using oracles effectively and being able to increase your vibration, like if you want to receive the full benefits from them and to connect more with what's possible with them, clearing it has to be a part of it, because wherever you're experiencing anxiety or stress or doubt or just any of those kinds of things that drag you down, it is doing just that. And it's limiting. Well, if you're interested in developing your intuition more, it actually is shutting it down. And it's also shutting you down from accessing your true potential. So I'm very excited. One of the beings I connected with and connect with now quite a bit when I started exploring the Ascended Masters is Saint Germain, who I think is familiar probably to many of you. And he's an Ascended Master who's very much involved in whatever you want to call it, the awakening, the ascension, the next steps for humanity, entering into the new age. And he has a gift. I think if you understand, the violet flame is a violet light that you can surround yourself with and invite into your body. I'll go into it more. We're going to do a little process with it to clear anything. So if you don't know any other healing processes, I think there are a lot that are great, and I fully recommend learning more. But for the purpose of this course, I'm actually using the violet flame every day now, finding things that I can clear out to bring more light into my system. This is a wonderful way. And of course, we know a lot of people who are EFT users, so that might appeal to you. And a while back, we developed something we call angelic EFT, which is using EFT along with archangels, or you could say masters too. So we're going to be inviting Saint Germain and Archangel Zadkiel, who is kind of an archangel equivalent. All of the beings of light, they are on what they call rays. So they're on the same ray, which has to do with the violet flame. And I'm going to also do, as I mentioned earlier, a few steps so we can experience how each step enhances things. And just thinking about the mass consciousness sludge and how it affects you, something that maybe you experience fairly regularly. I know something I have to watch for is anxiety, like, kind of a fear that something might go wrong. And it might be a low level of anxiety, but it still is dragging me down if I don't do something about it. It might be, for different people, it might be frustration, confusion, fear, being, I can't think of the words, so I'll just go beyond that. But to begin, if you can focus on just one of those things, your intention is very important, and having a clear intention that is limited so that you're not trying to be so broad it can't have any influence. Just think of something that you tend to have. Like I tend to have anxiety or maybe impatience. That was the word I was looking for that I couldn't get. You know, thinking things need to move faster, or it's the timing is not right, that everything has to be controlled more. Just allow yourself to feel whatever that thing is that you tend to gravitate to. And from that perspective, just take a moment to reflect on how you feel about yourself and your potential when you're feeling this way. And just a simple evaluation. I know when I experience anxiety, I feel like there's something wrong with me and things just can't work out really for me. And that's not a place I want to be. So, whatever that is for you, then the first change, Philip is going to share the process we do called soul centering for connecting with the heart in a little bit. Another way of raising your vibration and getting into a more heart-centered state is something. I'm just going to do this really quickly. It's called the miracle reframe, and I'm going to repeat it. I'll repeat it once so you can hear it, and then I would suggest you repeat it and aloud if you can. You're all muted, so nobody's going to hear you, because aloud actually is more forceful energetically. Just repeat it along with me. I'll do it 3 more times. So the miracle reframe is, I know that anything is possible and miracles are happening now. So we can repeat. I know that anything is possible and miracles are happening now. I know that anything is possible and miracles are happening now. I know that anything is possible and miracles are happening now. And to me, I always end up smiling saying it a few times. You can see how that, if that does anything for you. And just notice now, focusing again on how you feel about yourself and your potential. Just notice if it's at all different. And now we're going to move on to the violet flame with angelic EFT. And EFT is just tapping on certain points, which we're going to do. I'm taking my glasses off because some of the points are right around my eyes. We're going to do the tapping, what we call continuous tapping, just tapping on the points. And I'll just be, it starts at the top of the head, right at the top. And then the next one is the inside of the eyebrow, outside of the eye, below the nose, on the chin, collarbone, right underside of the collarbone, and then the side of the body. So what we're going to do is, if you want to do the tapping, you can. If you don't, it will just do the violet flame. So first I want to start by, and this is how simple it is with the angels. And you have to do this from a place of pure intent. Just asking Archangel Zadkiel and Saint Germain to join us and bless us by surrounding us with the violet flame. So you can ask that for yourself. And it's not a hot flame, it's a cool flame. Just imagine that flame around you. And as we'll just start tapping, continuous tapping on the points. Well, we imagine that violet flame around us. All around, clearing out all of the layers of our energy field. There are the four lower levels of the energy field: the etheric, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we'll just invite it to clear all of that out. And then coming into the body, beautifully into the body, that angelic energy, into all the cells. The cells love light. They love to be healed. And all the way down, actually, to the spaces between the electrons in the atoms in the cells of your body. That's how far this healing goes. And you can imagine, as you continue to see the violet flame around you and inside of you, that it's clearing out some of that sludge and creating more spaces for light. And I'm going to stop tapping now just because I feel like I can. Just focusing on that violet flame energy in the presence of Saint Germain and Archangel Zadkiel. They're beings of pure love. So they're sending this to us with love. And what you notice, which surprised me when I started doing this, is as the energy clears, what it opens us to is more joy and love. So just evaluating it now, notice how you feel about yourself now, maybe related, and your possibilities related to where we were when we started. Notice if it's stepped up at all. I think for me, it definitely is. I can't stop smiling. And then one final thing, which is highly recommended also, if you don't fill in the spaces that have been cleared of all the residue, it can just fill in with whatever. So what I did before we started was I drew a card to ask, well, what energy do we want to fill it with? And the card that I received is called, it might be hard to see it, is flow. So you can just imagine, and I'm going to invite now another amazing being of light to join us. Amaryssus is her name. She's called the Goddess of Light. We're going to invite her to support us in being more in the flow and filling all of those spaces with light, feeling the flow, feeling the energy flowing through our bodies. And all that beautiful, she is a being of pure light. Just feeling that pure light, again, all around you in all the layers of your energy field and also in your body. Again, all the way down to the cells. They love light, they love love, and this is love also. And then just filling all the spaces around with the electrons with more light. And asking yourself the value for you of being more in the flow. Whatever it is that kind of sticking point was, what if you could just shift into flow instead of that? Which you can. What would that mean to you? So that's your intuition, asking your intuition to share with you.
Yeah, that's great.
And I wonder if we have time for anyone to share. Just one person.
Yeah, we're getting a little tight on time here.
Mm-hmm. Anyone want to share about if you noticed anything different from those 4 things or 3 things, whatever, however many there were?
Hi.
Yes, hi. Is it Mayu?
Yes, Mayu.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. So I have a lot of distraction around me right now, and so I'm not able to fully kind of immerse myself into this. But every time we did, something new, I started to almost initially feel um, like this very deep love and it's like a cooling warmth because it's not warm. It's not like a warm energy, but it's still warm in the sense of like snuggly, like kind of. But then the distraction comes and my attention goes there too, just because it's home and then that kind of goes away a little bit. And then you started off with something else, and immediately I started to feel like once you mentioned the flow, I felt it was like this like it felt like a river and just sort of passing through my body at a very
Wonderful.
rhythmic,
Yeah, you're
very,
flowing through your body.
yeah, just very rhythmic motion, and that was great too. And it kind of dissipated because of the distraction, but it
Yeah,
was great to at least feel it initially and know that I have at least I'm open to receiving it kind of early,
Hmm.
you
Right.
know.
that's a
Yeah, and you
great.
can remind yourself, just remember, and then you can invite Amaryllis to come back and
Mhm.
send more light flowing. That's one thing I love, and this is one of the card decks I'm
Mm,
going to be using in the course. They're just very simple things that you can remind yourself of.
Mhm.
And I keep the cards out on my desk in front of me to remind me during the day also. Find it very profound and helpful.
Thanks,
yeah.
Mayu. Those were
Yeah,
some
thank
great
you.
insights. And the more
Yeah,
you do this, the easier it becomes, and the more you're able to sustain your focus more,
right,
which actually is a good segue to the next segment here of developing deeply meaningful relationships with the oracles.
right.
And we're talking about really a sacred tool. It's very flexible and fun and spontaneous, the oracles, especially getting the right oracle, which I'm about to talk about how to find the right decks. So you want to have an intention, as Jane was suggesting, for this sacred, profound experience. And you want to avoid some of the pitfalls, the way we understand oracles. And this is one of the reasons why it's really an overlooked, undiscovered tool in many senses by people who dismiss them, as I was saying earlier. And why do people dismiss oracles? Well, a lot of times they're just too general and vague, the response. You are going to, Philip, get a challenge today. Okay, thanks for that, tip, Uh, so if it's too general, it's too vague, that's not going to be helpful. If it's too much into fortune telling, which a lot of traditional oracles have been around, that can have limits too, because the future is in flux, unpredictable, and yes, you can find patterns if you do it the right way, the way we're teaching and sharing in this course. You'll find the patterns and hidden meanings and probabilities. And another pitfall related is asking a yes no question. Am I going to get married this year? Am I going to find my perfect job next month, or whatever? These sort of absolutist narrow terms, that we feel really isn't the right approach, because it's also disempowering to do that,
Hmm.
to use an oracle that way. We want to use it to empower you, which is what we're sharing here and teach in depth in the course coming up here. How to use them for discernment, not to be disempowered what someone tell you is going to happen, but to discern when these cards come up, like the flow card or the other card I drew earlier, security. And I'm about to draw another one too. Hold on. So how do you discern that? You use your mind intelligently. You use your left and right brain. You combine your mind and your heart. That's discernment, and it calms your nervous system, right? You're not in fight or flight or fright or freeze, because you have this sense of discernment. When you're trying to follow other people and follow the cards, or they're being dictated to you, it's authoritarian. You're getting programmed again, and it's really not uncomfortable. It tends to be sort of uncomfortable and create actually blocks or reinforce blocks. So the way we're teaching is going to develop your discernment, which develops your brain, right? Your brain, if you have a left-right brain development and balance, that's going to integrate, and your spiritual development, of course, too. And that takes us
And
to,
quality of life.
why not?
Really enjoying it more.
Um, and that just I'm going to touch on quickly, finding the right decks. This is another thing where people go wrong, or lose track or interest in the oracle decks, because some of them are either not the right decks for you, or if you're into a deeply spiritual sort of sacred approach, they're not that at all. They're quite superficial and glossy. So how do you discern? How do you find these decks? Well, Jane and I went to a metaphysical store in Mountain View, California recently, one of our favorite stores. There was over 100 oracle decks, which was fun to look at. So there are hundreds, and they've been available decks throughout the ages, through many cultures and times. So you want to find a deck that speaks to you, the title of it, the look of it, the aesthetics of it. And then the decks are with these cards and symbols. What are the messages? And as you start to read them, do they feel right? Are they inviting you? Are they asking you to explore or consider things? Or are they telling you you must do this? Or if you have this card, so you better watch out for so and so today? Are they sort of limiting you or putting you in a fear mode? Or are they opening you up to overcoming challenges and looking for possibilities, and anything is possible and miracles are happening now? So those are some things. And that being said, you can imagine how many decks Jane and I have reviewed, and even some of them we thought that looked pretty good when we ordered them and bought them and we found they really were not right. And
Right.
we've come down
We
to
must
just,
have, I think we bought probably 4 or 5 different Oracle decks just planning this course that ultimately we decided not to use.
we've come down to
So,
two
yeah.
that are just phenomenal decks that we think you really love.
And
Just
they're very
finding those,
different.
they're
Yeah.
very different. They have different ways. We'll show them how to use them. They're easy to use and quite profound and effective. So we've curated, we saved you a lot of time and energy in finding the right deck, which is really a big part of the challenge of using oracles. Because if you're with the wrong deck, I don't think you're going to be happy with the results. But if you have the right deck, you're going to be thrilled with them, as I think you'll find in this course, and we're beginning to share it with you. And that being,
we've found ways to take them deeper too. We don't just read the message there. We'll be doing visualization
yes, we'll be
processes
going deeper
and
into how
different
to
things
use
that
it.
will take you deeper.
Yeah. And once
on
you
a journey with them.
Once you have this, you'll have it for a lifetime. You'll have this intuitive development, know how to do this. So we'll teach it to you. And we're pretty good teachers since we've been doing this for so many years and writing books about these type of topics. And Jane said one of the things we like to do is have a little soul centering, which is a way of connecting deeply with your inner awareness, your consciousness. And we could just do that now real briefly, just breathing into your heart.
And closing your eyes, of course, if
You
you're
can
in a
close your
place
eyes,
where
yeah.
it's safe.
If you want to close your eyes, you can. It's certainly good to do that, but not a requisite. Breathing in and exhaling what you don't need. Breathing in pure, clear, loving energy into your heart through your nose and exhaling slowly, releasing what you don't need. Breathing in more of your own energy into your heart, into all your cells, permeating, percolating, enjoying them, bubbling them around. Exhaling, releasing what you no longer need, things you may have picked up along the way, just clearing it out with a breath. Exhale. And as you breathe more and more lovingly into your heart, into the center of your being, you connect with your soul, that sense, that image, that energy, that awareness that has that deep understanding, that wonderful acceptance, that beautiful connection with oneness, with everything and everyone. Breathing that into your body and bodies, into your aura, all around you, through you, opening up from your top of your aura, your top chakra, your head, bringing in consciously into your body, into your aura, the light and oneness and beauty and love of the universe, into your whole being now. Feeling connected, feeling more of that peace and beauty and love and support now. And if you want now, you can just open your eyes and feel more grounded with this loving, beautiful, soulful energy, more consciously present, always there, but now maybe more lovingly so. Beautiful. Okay. And just to top this off, I don't know if we can top it off. I'm going to draw cards from the deck and just do a quick, mini micro reading with another card from the deck, just to show you the many, many ways, as we'll show you throughout this course, that you can use oracles. So I'm just pulling out a card. I don't know what it is. And this is the first time I've seen it in this moment. And it says power. And there is a little description of power in the decks, and they have these brief descriptions. And you may or may not even use them, but this, which is part of the sacred landscape says this is your time. It's a time to claim your power and step into your potential. It doesn't mean you'll be without fear. You still may have some fear, but even though you're uncertain, if you are, you can still be courageous. That's part of the soul, having courage. You can share your passion. You can learn and teach from the heart. So this reminds me, going back to the discernment, this power and stepping into your potential with your soul's awareness, lighting you with the angels and these oracle cards. So there it is. That's what we're saying. It's again, one aha, one eureka moment after another. And if you learn how to do this, I think you're going to really love it, and your life will never be the same. It will be wonderfully enriched, even though hopefully you have a wonderful life already. Jane, that kind of takes me through that. So that part of our reading.
Maybe Gretchen, would you
Gretchen,
like to share about how you felt about the soul centering? About
yes, but
Gretchen has taken a whole program from us and is now a colleague. We work together and
coaching and healing.
Yeah. So she's another person who might describe the value of it.
Right. Soul centering is phenomenal for me. It's I really feel like my life is a lot easier when I'm in a soul-centered place. And Philip was mentioning discernment. And I think when we're in a soul-centered place, when we're not stuck in our head, we're not, or ungrounded from our bodies, but we're actually combining all of those. We're combining that heart space along with our soul energy. And that's our best guidance. For me,
right.
It's the wisest guidance, and it's the guidance that makes sense. And when you're in that space, the readings just become so incredibly clear, crystal clear. And it really doesn't matter what deck you use. And it doesn't matter if you have a lot of experience. That soul centering is so quick and so accessible. It really makes everything else kind of feel quick and accessible as well. So for me, it's something I do daily. I can't live without it. And I approach a lot of my life now in that space, and have just been amazed by the difference in my life by being and operating from that space. So,
right.
Yeah. So
soul centering is foundational. And just a note, I know some people are quite new to oracles who are watching this. Some people are familiar with them. So part of it is just adding this to your repertoire if you already have successful experience with oracles, or if you want to learn it, this is a wonderful way to really learn it in a gratifying, practical, soulful way.
Right. Right. And it is, you want to be in your most resourceful state when you're approaching the oracles. And this is your most resourceful state. And it's easy to know. A lot of times people say, well, how do I know if it's my intuition? Well, if you're in that state, you can ask. Your guidance is, you can ask and receive answers, because you're going to be in a very balanced state. You'll be able to feel that it's neutral. It's not just your mind chattering like, oh, you should do this. And we learned that. Philip and I learned it more than 30 years ago now, at a time when I was really low. And it changed my life almost immediately. Within the first week, I realized my perception of myself was very different. When you're in that kind of a heart-centered place and you ask yourself about your value and who you are, you get a very, very different view, because your heart knows. The heart has a flame in it that's actually barely flickering in a lot of people, as you probably know. But it actually grows as you connect with it. And that light is the light of the Creator within you. We all are magnificent spiritual beings. And the heart knows that, not in an egotistical way, but just as our greatest resource and our greatest gift to the world. When, with all of the things we've been doing today, if we're vibrating more love and light, that's what we're radiating out to the world. And that alone is of great value to the world. So, I mean, it just is one of those things that gets better and better.
And It's
we've kind of been in a place of wonder
yeah.
with it, because I think the more you connect with the cards and the more you connect with your guidance and the beings of light who are available to you, it just becomes as it says there, shine your light in the world in more magical and mystical ways than ever before. It just is magical. It's magical, miraculous, mystical, all those words. I like those. The three M's. And ultimately, as that one that sentence Philip just showed, ultimately you get as much from it as you put into it. And it's not that you have to have a lot of time every day, and we'll be talking about that. If you have a more spacious period of time, obviously you can go deeper with it. But even if you have 5 minutes in the morning to draw a card that you can take with you to work to reflect on during the day, and invite a being, an angel or a being like Amaryssus to join you and bless you with light, it can change things for you. And the message is, offer food for thought that you might not have otherwise. So these cards actually that we have chosen, they're simple and profound. And another thing we're going to do in the course is learn how you can go into them and with a visualization and touch them in an even deeper way, which is just amazing. We also, just so you know, we have a full booklet on working with oracle cards with angels and masters and the tarot for people who haven't done much with it before, how to get started, what they're kind of about, a very brief overview of what
It
the
comes
tarot
with the
is.
course.
Right. The tarot is a very profound oracle, you could say, form of oracle, and it has a lot of depth. But even if you don't know anything about it, and we're using one tarot deck too with this course, that it doesn't matter if you know anything about the tarot, you're going to get a lot out of it, because we're also it goes into stories that are we all know.
Or
that
if you
are
know a
going
lot
to be
about the tarot, you're going to get a lot out of it.
yeah. Even this we're using a deck that I don't know how many people know about it, but it's different and really wonderful. I think another thing, when you go into the elemental realms and connect with that sacredness of everything, it's so beautiful, which is part of what we're going to do, and that does elevate your experience. I wanted to also share with you something that I did last week. I did a reading. This is one of the readings. There are different card spreads, you could say, that you can use for a reading. And this is a reading I did using a card spread that we're going to share in the course, which involves the 4 elements and the 4 directions: east, west, or east. Well, sorry, it goes east, usually east, south, west, and north, and then the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth. And so I asked for in that reading, my intention, and Phil was talking about how important to have the intention is, and we'll be talking about more how to do that too, which is pretty simple. My intention, I have it all written down here, was to receive insights and suggestions for providing the best experience and spiritual value for the attendees of this course. Just as kind of an overview for me, like what would help people most. So you can use this in so many ways. And it starts at the east, as I mentioned, which is air and the mind. And that's where the sun rises, about morning. And so the question I asked with that is, what is emerging for the students in this course? And the keyword for the card that I received was freedom. And I thought that was so powerful, because essentially I think that's what we all want, right? We want freedom. We want to be free to be ourselves, to grow in wonderful, magical ways, to be prosperous, to feel good. We want freedom. And the card had an image of birds flying free. It was just so beautiful. To free our minds, to clear the mass consciousness thought forms. It is the air, the mind, clear the mass consciousness thought forms, and open to a new day dawning. Freedom. I loved it. I thought that was so
Laura
beautiful.
said in the chat, freedom too.
It is, it's so powerful. And so the South, the next one was the South, is fire. What's expanding for us, for all of us? We're all in this together, the people who take the course. What's expanding? Fire. And fire is like the energy, the heat, the vitality. And what's expanding is truth. And it showed a wind-blown landscape with a tree in it, and it says Song of the Wind. Air takes form in the oxygen we breathe, and in relation to communication, when you speak, it is air that passes through your mouth and allows you to speak and communicate. And we can communicate truth because we'll understand for ourselves more of that truth. I thought that was so beautiful. So then I went to the West, which is water and emotions. What is emerging from the depths of your awareness to be integrated? And what the card that came was change. Again, I just, so beautiful. And in the book, it said, dancing clouds. Throughout time, people have looked to the heavens for signs. And in the ever-changing movement of the clouds, they have seen shapes and forms that seem to direct messages from the Creator. Clouds are shape shifters. And of course, clouds are water that's suspended in air. So beautiful. And it was almost done there. The final one is north. And that's the earth and what you need to nurture, repair, or heal in the quiet hours. And what it said was potential, relating that to the earth element also. It's opening to realize your full potential in your life. I thought this is so great. So that is going to be our focus. We're going to be wanting to open in with all the four elements. We're going to be inviting the archangels of the four elements to join us, and you'll learn how to do this reading for yourself in relation to any inquiry you have. I just found that amazing.
Mm-hmm. So that takes us to what's actually in the course, which some of you are already enrolled at this time, I know, and some of you have read the description page, but the class 1, next week, they're each on Wednesday. They're all recorded and conveniently in video and audio, so you can download them. You'll have them in your permanent spiritual growth library afterwards too. And class 1 will be opening to the amazing resources of oracles. We'll start to go into the details on that, of how to use oracles specifically, hands-on, step-by-step, the resources. Class 2 is
just can I add something as we go through it? Each class also will have a different oracle spread, a different reading that we'll do. So opening to the resources, we'll have a reading, that really beautiful reading that you can do.
And as we said, we've curated the 2 oracle decks, which we think are fantastic choices for you in this course, to use in different ways. And each week we'll go through one or more ways to use them. And they're pretty easy to use, and we'll go into a few more advanced ways too as we go deeper into the course, but there are many very, very easy ways to do it, practical ways. And you want to do it with the right approach, as we've said, which will help guide you and support you and give you a lot of insights on that. Class 2, oracle readings using archetypes, myths, and the inner and magical child. This is all those stories, from when we were younger, the Sleeping Beauty and Rapunzel and Peter Pan, they're still very fascinating. And there's a lot of profound wisdom in them, and you can tie them into your life today in wonderful, magical, mystical ways, as we'll go into. It really enlivens your life because it's exciting. I look forward in the morning to my oracle reading, and I know, as I said, if I'm down, I'm going to get up. If I'm in a great mood, I'm going to get some real clear direction and grounding. Class 3, oracles to harmonize with nature, engaging the elements in the three kingdoms. We introduced you to the elements in the three kingdoms. We want you to really make that practical and learn how it can make a huge difference in your life and really go deeper with it. And
we're going to, and this one, I'm very excited about this one too. Class 3, we're going to do an oracle process for breaking through barriers. That's really amazing.
Yeah, you're going to like that. Would you like to break through some barriers? Let us help you. Class 4, the final class, diving deeper into oracles and expanding possibilities. So this is a work in progress. So we're continually finding new ways and new tips. So it's going to be a structure, but we're going to be adding new insights, ahas, and the class will be a resource. Just all your energies and insights will be, we're all kind of our own oracles, our own divine beings unfolding our life. And also with the class, there's these 4 exclusive resources. We mentioned the 34-page guidebook, Gifts and Blessings from Oracles, Angels, and Masters. So that's how to do oracles, a little background on it. It's easy to read, and it will show you a lot of the things we're doing in class in writing. So you'll have written copies of them. And then there are these oracle spreadsheets, a reference guide, as Jane was mentioning, what we'll be doing in each week. And there's a guide on how to go step by step. We'll be referring to angels. So there's an angels checklist, because there's so many archangels. Gee, there's so many archangels out there. What am I going to do? Well, we've made it
We're
easier
going to hone
for you.
it down in this one too.
Yeah, so you can reference it. And so we're good at being pragmatic and making this understandable, bringing heaven down to earth as part of our mission. And the 4th exclusive resource that comes with the course is key areas to explore and questions to ask oracles. It's a little 3-page handout. I use it pretty regularly. So what are you going to ask? What's your intent? So there's some guided questions, topics, focuses that come in that list that you can continually use and also vary to make things interesting. So why take the course? If you're not already enrolled, you already know why you want to take it. Maybe you're not sure, you're sort of on the fence. Well, the complete course, this is an overview today, is going to develop your intuition and spiritual growth with oracles. Remember, that's part of being a spiritual being, part of the task we're here to learn, to having a human experience, develop our intuition. That means you're going to have better guidance and decision making. You're going to have more fun and more creativity. You're going to help find hidden blocks and clear them, as we've been indicating. And we'll be using some angelic EFT. We'll be using the violet flame and more, and show you how to use them and make it your own tools more readily. And we talked about discernment. You're going to get your brain developed in this course because you're going to balance left and right brain and open your heart for discernment, balance your nervous system. And this will, of course, accelerate your evolution and help others. If you're in a holistic field, you're going to be able to use this tool, if you choose, to help others as well, if, of course, is helping yourself. So that's the developing your intuition and spiritual growth with oracles course that's coming up that you can enroll in. We've made it very affordable, something that you can easily access, and you'll be with us live. Or if you can't make it, you'll have the recordings too and all the resources. Jane, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just in closing, one of the things that I'm not sure that we mentioned is it's very educational too.
Yes.
The one that we're using with nature, when in the descriptions of the cards, it talks about different aspects of nature and things about nature that you might not know. And of course, with oracles, there are oracles on all kinds of different topics. Like I said, we had one have still one we use with archangels and one with ascended masters. So there's a lot of just education involved in it too. I think looking back at my initial goal of working with the archangels and using oracles, I think I'm very happy with the results, more than I could possibly have imagined. And one final thing, just for us collectively, is there's great value in connecting with people who are like-minded. And we'll have opportunities for people to share. I'm also hoping, I want to ask people if they would like to organize a practice class and we could practice together, and how that might happen. I'm not sure how that might happen, but we might do that too if people are interested in that. Um, Meeting other like-minded people is so valuable. We need each other. We really do. If you feel like you're alone and kind of in the midst of a mass consciousness, um, then an opportunity like that is, or like this, is an opportunity to connect more with others who are like you.
It is a wonderful, rare, very affordable opportunity to develop your intuition and spiritual growth and be with us. And if your heart's calling for you, we encourage you to follow it, and you'll get deeper into that, go deeper. And if you haven't already enrolled, you can go to tinyurl.com slash or read oracles, tinyurl.com slash read oracles to enroll and get the current affordable tuition. And it's a 4-week course, so it's a small, fun, easily doable course. And it's something you'll have with you for now and the rest of your life.
Mm. And I was curious, Gretchen, did you have any final thoughts? Anything we left out?
Or something you want to
Anything
add?
you would want to say as a closing statement?
I think what really has struck me about using oracles is that I understand myself better now. I feel like, and having the interaction of being able to do it with other people to bounce, my understanding of the card reading off of somebody else has been really instrumental. And I think that's really what got me back into oracle reading, was and using it as a resource, probably for the last 20 years or so. And, I learned 30 years ago how to do them, but it really is just a wonderful resource, and it has helped me understand who I am on so many
Right.
different levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Self-awareness.
And it's so fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's great. And
really
it's
is.
starting soon. The live classes are starting, the live classes like this one for the people who are live or watching it next week. So you can still join us. It'll be a wonderful journey, fun, a little short targeted course, but very profound and practical and easy to use.
Yeah.
So that's it for now. I know we're going to be seeing some of you next week as we begin. Go to tinyurl.com/read-oracles to enroll if you haven't already. And until next time, great being with everyone. Bye now. Much love.